Hello, everyone. Welcome to the stream. Uh, so the Supreme Court just handed down its decision in the tariffs case, and I've just read some news stories. I haven't had a chance to actually read the decision, so I thought I would just do this with you all and take advantage of the screen share saver since I was going to screen share feature since I was going to anyway read this decision. And so why not do it with all of my friends here? So here you go. You can see the decision. How long is this thing? I read it. So yeah, it's 170 pages. Okay, so it's a long thing. I don't think we're going to read the whole thing, but we're going to go through it. And yeah, I mean, there's an art to reading these things. If you've been to law school, you know this, or if you've read a lot of court decisions, they're very interesting because legislation and regulations, they're occurring in a political context. You know, members of Congress, their staff are writing this, and it's a negotiated process. It's something that they can get to that everyone can vote on. They're trying to get a majority in the House and a majority in the Senate. They might not be some things they might put in there might not make sense. Some things might cause some kind of disruption or disorder, but then that has to be worked out in the courts and in the regulatory agencies and through the executive branch. And court decisions are something else in that, like, you know, it is ruled by kind of philosopher kings. You have these 9 people who were elite law students, went to the top law schools, did well, got the clerkships, went through the entire process, and are they're 9 philosopher kings and they're voting. And a decision might be 9-0 at most. So it'll have 9 authors, but often they'll have less than that. Sometimes you'll see an individual decision, a concurrence or dissent, where it's purely one person's work. Of course, the law clerks write a lot of the opinions, but basically it's one person's work, one person putting their name on it with help from some aides. And you really get to see kind of very intelligent minds grapple with questions that are fundamental to American governments. They're grappling with the meaning of words. They're grappling with history. They're grappling with policy implications. So it's kind of under theorized or underexplored how we do have this kind of philosopher king regime. It's not that they're making up stuff and they can just say whatever they want. It is more that they are interpreting the law, but they're a check on the democratic branches. And the victory for the anti-tariff side in this case is 6-3. So let's see here. Let's dive in. This is a syllabus. So syllabus is like the summary of the case. They call it a syllabus. So it's head. I guess that means head note. I never knew that was the official definition of syllabus. But yeah, in history now, when they read this about this decision, it's going to be leading resources v. Trump. That's probably how you shorten it. And so it'll be learning resources. Usually, you go by the first descriptor, the first party, which is often the plaintiff, but sometimes just the person who's appealing. Okay. Decided today, argued November 5, decided February 2026. The question presented is whether the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, IEEPA, authorizes the president to impose tariffs. Shortly after taking office, President Trump sought to address 2 foreign threats: the influx of illegal drugs from Canada, Mexico, and China, and the large and persistent trade deficit. The president determined that the drug influx had, quote, created a public health crisis, and that the trade deficits had led to the hollowing out of American manufacturing base and undermined critical supply chains. The president declared a national emergency as to both threats, deeming them unusual and extraordinary, and invoked his authority under IEEPA, IEEPA. Do people say IEEPA? IEEPA is a handful, to respond. He imposed tariffs to deal with each threat. As to the traffic, 25 on most Canadian, Mexican imports, 10 on most Chinese, reciprocal tariff, blah, blah, blah. All trading partners, right? This is the fentanyl part. And now here is the trade deficit part, the other quote unquote emergency that Trump was dealing with. The president imposed duty on all imports from all trading partners. Sorry, I wish I could get this thing to go away. of at least 10% with dozens of nations fair higher. This is the famous, uh, Liberation Day tariffs. And recall, this is when I had enough with Trump. I officially said that's it. I was regretting my vote before that, but it was just kind of like the stupidity of it and the extreme stupidity of it. We were, these rates of 40, 50, 60%. I mean, this is kind of unheard of. We used to fear before Trump was elected the second time that he might put a 10% tariff across the board. That was something that I was ready to live with if he was going to do. But this was just so insane that I was like, okay, in addition to the other bad stuff he's doing, this is just, it's too much for me. I can't take anything this stupid. Okay. Petitioners and learning resources and respondents in VOS selections filed suit, alleging that IEEPA does not authorize reciprocal or drug trafficking tariffs. The learning resource, I don't know what VOS selections is, and respondents, why are they the respondents? We'll find out in a second. The learning resources plaintiff, two small businesses, sued in the United States District Court, blah blah blah. This is just going through the history of it. The VOS Selections is just another company. 5 small businesses in 12 states. Okay, so that's what they're calling 5 small businesses in 12 states sued in the CIT. CIT is the Court of International Trade. So they went through different pipes. They went through different channels to get to the Supreme Court. So VOS Selections is one, Learning Resources another. VOS Selections includes the businesses in the states. Blah blah blah. The court granted the benefit. Okay, held. This is what we hold. This is the decision. This is like the one sentence you need. It's actually two cents here. IEEPA does not authorize the president to impose tariffs. The judgment in blah 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 is vacated, and the case is remanded with instructions to dismiss for lack of jurisdiction. The judgment is vacated. Okay, what is that? What is 1-2? Let's see here. What is this? 1-2-2-4-1-2-8-7 is vacated with respect to business lack of jurisdiction. What has lack of jurisdiction here? I'm sorry. What was 2-4? We'll get to it. All right. Okay, so yeah, this is why you have to read the opinion. Deliver the opinion towards with respect to parts 1 and 2A1. So this is very interesting. They say, I joined this part, but not this part. I joined this part, but not this part. I concur in part. I dissent in part. This seems like it's a kind of a complicated decision, although a clear majority striking down the power to impose tariffs under IEEPA. Okay. So this is the opinion. This is like the most official stuff. Here's what Chief Justice delivered with respect to parts 1 and 2A1. Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution specifies that the Congress shall have the power to lay and collect taxes, duties, imports, and excise. Seems pretty clear. The framers recognize the unique importance of this taxing power, a power which very clearly includes the power to impose tariffs. And they gave Congress alone access to the pockets of the people. The Federalist number 48. The framers did not vest any part of the taxing power of the executive branch. Okay, that's established. The government thus concedes the president enjoys no inherent authority to impose taxes during peacetime. Okay. Exclusively on IEEPA to defend the challenged tariffs. It reads the words regulate and importation to effect a sweeping delegation of Congress power to set tariff policy. So the idea is the president, the administration says that Congress gave us this power through the IEEPA. Authorizing president to, here's the key. It's so sweeping, right? They were arguing, the executive branch was arguing the president to impose tariffs of unlimited amount and duration on any product from any country. The Chief Justice joined by Gorsuch and Barrett. Okay, so this is concluded part 2, A2. This is the opinion of the court. And then it says Chief Justice joined by Gorsuch. Okay, I think this is only those 3. So this is, yeah. Which part is it? Okay, yeah. So then he goes, and then the Chief Justice. So then Chief Justice Roberts goes off. So you have this part, which is just the start, right? Okay, this is what the opinion of the court. Then you have Chief Justice goes off with Gorsuch and Barrett to this other thing, and they do their own thing, which is only three judges signing on to. And that's not an official decision. So that's not law. That's like kind of a concurrence. The court has expressed. Okay, so this is what Gorsuch and Barrett. We won't get into this complicated thing. As we're going to get down And then the Chief Justice. Okay, so now we're back to the opinion of court. So you're part 2B. So this is we're back to official decision, right? IEEPA authorizes the president to investigate, block during the pendency of an investigation, regulate, direct, and compel, nullify, void, prevent or prohibit importation or exportation. Okay, so this is the key. This is what the statute says. The president can block, regulate, direct, compel, nullify, void, importation or exportation. So tariffs, he can block, investigate, regulate. That seems like a lot of stuff. Absent from this lengthy list of specific powers is any mention of tariffs or duties. Okay, so he can block, regulate, direct. Deregulate sounds like taxes. That's probably the argument. And Congress intended to convey the distant and extraordinary power to impose tariffs, it would have done so expressly, as it consistently has in other tariff statutes. Yeah, this is the thing. This is I think it's called the large questions doctrine, where it's like you can't through a loophole get a major delegation of power. And the power to tax is a big thing. Congress doesn't just hand it over based on ambiguous or questionable language. So here, the power to, here's the opinion. According to the power to regulate importation does not fill that void. The term regulate, as ordinarily used, means to fix, establish, or control, to adjust by rule, method, or established mode, to direct by rule or restriction, to subject to governing principles of law. The facial breadth of this definition places in stark relief what regulate is not usually thought to include: taxation. Many statutes grant the executive power to regulate. Yet the government cannot identify any statute in which the power to regulate includes the power to tax. Okay, so regulating and taxing are different things. The court is therefore skeptical that an IEEPA and IEEPA alone, Congress hid a delegation of its birthright power to tax within the quotidian power to regulate. While taxes may accomplish regulatory ends, it does not follow that the power to regulate includes the power. See, you're major questions, doctor. Thank you, Andrew. Big, when I say big questions, doctor, yeah, they would give it a fancier title than that. Indeed, when Congress addresses both the power to regulate and the power to tax, it does so separately and expressly. Makes sense. Strong evidence to regulate did not include taxation. A contrary reading would render IEEPA partly unconstitutional. The IEEPA authorizes the president to regulate importation or exportation, but taxing exports is expressly forbidden by the Constitution. Very good. The neighboring words with which regulate is associated also suggest did not intend to regulate. Okay, so this is just more. This is what you do. This is the nitty-gritty of legal interpretation. Each of the 9 words, if you're just a nerd, you love this stuff because it is a lot of fun. Because it matters. Because what you pay for toys or chairs, is going to depend on these debates about the meaning of words. Mm-hmm. Several arguments marshaled to response are unpersuasive. Oppose tariffs because early commentators, blah, blah, blah. The question is not whether tariffs can be used, it's whether Congress would. Okay. Second, the argument that regulate naturally includes tariffs because the term lies between 2 poles, and IEPA compel on the affirmative end and prohibit on the negative end is unavailing. So the argument is